What up, Sknightnation? It's your boy, Stevie Knights. But to get on one of these things, you feel me? What's good with the watch, man? So, look like that boy Russ, the rapper Russ, pulled up to the Flagrant podcast and was dropping some gems. I got hit up quite a few times with the links to this pod, bro. So, we jumping in this right now. About 4 hours long. We're not doing all that, bro. You know what I'm saying? But with the help of y'all, I got some parts to look at, man. So yeah, let's tap on in. This one is, I guess, him calling out lying rappers, a heated debate. So we're gonna peep. Before we tap in though, anytime you see me rocking some drip that you rocking with, pull up to shopstevieknight.com, man. Browse through, find something you like. I got you. And Russ, let's get it.
Right. So if I'm not really doing the drugs, or if I'm not really having the trauma, I'm not pushing it.
Okay,
and
but
that's
you say it's a negative thing, but well, we have movies. Like movies are
bro,
fiction. Movies are entertainment.
There's a difference between saying this is my life and this is fiction.
I love this debate. I love this debate because it doesn't land. I'll tell you why. There's no leg to stand on. Movies are under the notion that it's fiction, like you said. Mm-hmm. When you watch Scarface, you're going into the theater like, I'm about to watch a story. The appeal to rap is that it's real. In fact, to the point that rappers make it a point to say that they're real. So you can't, that whole notion of like, nah.
But that's the thing. It's like you're selling art. So I have a stage name, I have a persona.
You're absolving accountability. You're absolving accountability.
I don't think so.
I think you are because the reality is, that's fine, but then make it clear that it's the WWE. But don't go out of your way to
WWE doesn't make it clear it's WWE.
That's a great point. They received a lot of criticism for it.
Watch, but
it doesn't matter.
WWE,
no one says what they're doing is bad.
No. WWE makes it clear to the people who, like, at a certain age, you know Santa Claus isn't real.
Yeah. WWE has never said publicly these are staged.
Of course,
if you have eyeballs, you know.
But what I'm saying,
and I feel the same way when you see a rapper. It's like if you have eyeballs, you know this shit is bullshit.
No, but
that's exactly how I feel about rap.
No, but realistically, right? Yeah. A lot of the appeal of rap. This is what I'm saying, because when you keep in mind that the main consumer is a white boy who thinks it's real, you have to understand that the appeal is that it is real. So like, even though they're not saying it, they're not saying it. You see what I'm saying? It's like the whole appeal of like this slide on op music is like, yo, I think they really are. And a lot of them really are.
But wrestling's that. Like people thought Stone Cold hung out with his friends and went like that, drink his bitch.
Rap is not wrestling.
Here's what I would say.
The appeal of rap was that it was not wrestling. The appeal of rap was that it was real. Everyone is under the notion that it's real.
I understand the point.
I know, because we're all grown men, that it's not real. But I'm saying the appeal.
A lot of people still believe it's real, and also there are rappers.
It's still real to me, damn it. Have you seen that?
I think 70% of people at a wrestling show think that shit is real.
No, it's not 70%, but here's what it is.
I dare any of y'all to come out and I dare any of y'all to come out and say one of these rappers is lying about the shit they're rapping about.
I think
because that rapper will die on a hill defending the shit they're making up.
I think most of us know.
They say they're telling the truth.
It's much like
keeping up the persona.
It's like wrestling in that we know at a certain age, you know it's fake, but we all just kind of, and I can't speak for black people, but I think the rest of us kind of buy into, look, we know most of this is bullshit, but let's all pretend it's real because it's just a fun thing, like wrestling. It's just a fun storyline we're all buying into, and I can't speak.
I had to stop it there, bro. I'm trying to let him talk because this is a longer vid, man, but that one, that was a gut punch. The debate as far as rap being compared to wrestling, I find that funny. They don't compare at all just because of the influence music has in general compared to the influence wrestling has. Come on now. That's a product. Music is life for a lot of people. Music is one of the main conditioning factors for humankind, period. You know what I'm saying? Music molds society. Wrestling, not so much. So, you know, faking the funk in music can have devastating impacts. And like I said, I wanted to wait for them to dive into more of this conversation because it's very interesting, man. But what Cuz said triggered me. He said, you know, the majority of us know that or feel like this rap stuff is fake. I don't know about black people, but everybody else at some point in their life, they get to a point where they know this hip hop stuff is bullshit, it's selling the show. But the fact he said that though, bro, that says so much, man. And I just did that video about the negative implications that hip hop has on the black community specifically, and I always talk about the glorification of toxic things in hip hop, period, and how trash hip hop is today. But the X variable in that is the audience listening to it. Like, the audience makes the market. If there was no market for it, people wouldn't pay any attention, man. So, you know, two things can happen at once. Hip hop is in a terrible space right now, but in addition, the audience is salivating for this toxic shit. But more specifically, the black community is the one buying into this shit like it's real life, because of the fact that it is real life for some, but it's glorified. The black community is the one community that can't pull themselves out of it, like lift the veil and be able to separate reality from music. You know what I'm saying? And it needs to be discussed, right? But he just threw it out there so subtly, right? Everybody else knows that this is bullshit besides the black community. I can't speak for the black community, but everybody else knows this is bullshit. When it should be, everybody knows this is bullshit. If everybody knew it was bullshit, there wouldn't be such an issue with hip hop being in a terrible spot. But the fact that the hip hop does influence its listeners the way it does is the fucking problem. If everybody could say Santa Claus isn't real, we wouldn't have as much problems that we do right now, because that's how people feel, bro. Black folks are the only ones that take this shit serious. We know it's jokes. We know this is bullshit, right? But these fools out here living it, breathing it, eating it, and all that, man. Fuck. Anyway, let's continue.
It's just a fun storyline we're all buying into, and I can't speak for the black consumer, but I think most of us at a certain age know most of these rappers ain't doing nothing. They got fucking Roth IRAs or whatever investment accounts, now, and we're all buying into this game.
We have aged out of the audience that is influenced the most by rap. We've aged out. So you're talking, right? We're talking amongst each other as grown men who understand that it's not Santa who's bringing the presents. The audience that's most influenced by rap thinks it's real. And the issue that I have is that if it is not real, don't push it because it's negative. Now, if what you're pushing is positive and it's not real, push it by all means.
That's Santa Claus.
Santa Claus isn't real, but it's positive. Y'all shit isn't real, but it's negative. And you're not even living it? Nicki spoke on Future saying, when I talked to Future, he told me he wasn't even doing the drugs that he talks about in the songs. I think Future's music is amazing. I'm grown enough to have the discernment to say, man, this shit is, Stick to the Models is like my favorite shit, right?
Russ, watch your mic.
Sorry. Stick to the Models by Future is my favorite shit, right? But I also know that the reason why I wanted to try lean when I was 19 was Future. Was Future.
And
I'm not gonna blame him. That I'm grown.
I did think the drug shit was real. I knew the slide on ops wasn't, but
the drug shit.
No, I'll tell you why the drug shit can't be real. Because
you cannot extent of what he was saying.
You can't do that many drugs and live this long.
Okay, but not to advocate.
Which is why when
negative.
Juice WRLD said, I started doing these drugs because of you, we have seen it live in the flesh. Juice WRLD said, I did drugs because of you. Juice WRLD died of a drug overdose by following somebody who does not even do the drugs that they said they did.
Valid point, yeah.
What the fuck are we talking about? Everyone wants to tiptoe around the fucking, because certain people are Teflon and you can't talk on certain shit.
Why is there a defensiveness around this? Al, what do you think that is?
Because people are trying to protect free speech, even if this free speech is negative.
I don't think it's free speech.
Yes, it is.
I think it's a cultural.
That's what it is. It's like, oh, we should be able to say what we say. You can, but then also face the consequences.
I think it's cultural success, and I think it's like.
I think it's we should be able to say what we can say, but then that's fine. But you cannot absolve yourself of the accountability when you have to face the consequences of your actions, and when the chickens come home to roost. When Juice WRLD, who did drugs because of you, dies, that is a real moment of reflectiveness that needs to happen within the culture.
Real quick. No, question.
That's the reality.
Yeah,
am I tripping?
No, you're not. But I don't think anyone
when Alex Jones or when Tucker Carlson or any of these dudes that were supposed to be taken on face value, right, as like news sources, and they were telling the truth. When they back up and they go, I'm just doing this for entertainment, they get ridiculed.
Yeah.
How dare you manipulate all these people?
Right.
But what I'm saying is you could make the same argument that Alex Jones, Tucker Cross, or any of these guys
presenting yourself as news.
Right. But I see where you're going.
You won me over with Juice WRLD, but you can't go news because news is news. It is. I'm presenting this as news for you to consume as facts.
But you have to understand,
operate with
to a 17-year-old,
this is my life. How is
to
that
a 17-year-old, a rapper is giving them news on the culture.
But it's
the same thing.
It's candy news. It's like sports is real.
No, but like rappers,
I think we're kind of arguing two things. Like, no one's trying to absolve rappers like influence. Like, a parent should raise their kids.
For sure.
Kids can look up to somebody and be influenced by, but at the end of the day, it's up to the parents to raise your kid.
I agree.
So it's like this artist should be able to be an artist. If they are actually, and we gotta can't act like this shit isn't going on. Yes, there are some rappers that are fronting, but there are rappers that really are about that life. Like we see it happening. We see Chicago. We see there are. So it's like, you can't put all the onus on the
No. And for a disclaimer, I'm not talking about the ones who are actually talking. Like I said, I'm not talking about the ones who are actually talking about the trauma.
No, but even the ones that aren't.
No, but see, that's where you have to start raising an eyebrow of like, this is a little bit evil, because if you are purposely choosing to promote a negatively influential lifestyle that you yourself are not even living.
Just take that part in.
This is fucked up. I'm not talking about the ones who are like, yo, like,
I'm not advocating for it.
I really lived this. I did X, Y, and Z. I'm using my music as a journal to talk about it. Let them express what they express. The ones who are not doing it, but they're doing it because it makes money, and then they have blood on their hands.
I'm going to further reinforce the stereotypes of the black community from my personal gain.
And to their point, that's a crazy intro.
And
that's essentially what the criticism is. It's like, if you are living these things, that's incredibly unfortunate, and you were born into a situation you probably couldn't avoid, and you should be able to speak on your experience. But if you did not live them at all, you are further reinforcing the stereotypes of the black community just so you personally can get
money.
While those people
that's the definition of selling your soul.
Yes.
That's the definition of selling your soul.
I think that criticism is good.
But to what we're all talking about, because what I've heard from a lot of people sitting here is, well, but it's WWE. Okay, so what we're saying, what I hear is that majority of rappers have sold their soul, but it's okay because it's art.
No, I'm saying.
Well, I will say also to his point, it's not just negative reinforcement. It sets up a negative reward system where you think to yourself, if I want to make it, I got to be one of the real guys. Not even fake it. I got to be real. Otherwise, if I get my card called,
bro, this shit is
phony. I might have to live that life.
First of all, totally agree with Russ. 100%. You have to be an evil mother to capitalize off of reinforcing the negative stereotypes that come from black culture. When you're faking it, when it's not even you just found something to capitalize off of handsomely, and you taking advantage of the opportunity, man. But that's capitalism. It's never gonna stop. That's the day and age we living in right now, bro. We don't have people exemplifying the best characteristics like loyalty and integrity and things of that nature, man. It's all about getting attention, exploiting, getting money, toxicity, degeneracy. That's the day and age we're living in, right? And it's gonna continue to do so. But I said, Russ has hit the nail on the head as far as you have to be an evil motherfucker to do that shit. But I don't think that's the main problem. And, calling these motherfuckers out, trying to make them accountable for faking the funk, we can do it all day, but it ain't gonna make them stop. It ain't gonna make them change, right? Like, we've had artists already be called out on shit, and they still making money. Like Gunna, for example. This motherfucker clearly faking the funk. Don't live that life. Cops got him. He in there snitching, singing, got released, which totally opposes what he's putting in his fucking music. And then he drops an album, shit goes platinum, right? Like, the audience don't give a fuck about who's real and who's fake. That shit ain't going no fucking where. We can point them out and say y'all are evil, but the shit ain't gonna stop nothing. People still gonna be feeding into it, still be fucking buying into it. And that's the problem at the end of the fucking day, is people still feeding into the shit. Let's bringing it back to his whole Juice WRLD situation, bro, which is valid as fuck, and it happens all the fucking time. That's how powerful music is, period. Music raises people, molds you, develops you, all that, bro, to the point of getting you hooked on drugs and overdosing, right? Rightfully so, he held Future accountable for promoting this lifestyle that he doesn't even partake in. But regardless if Future was participating in these activities or not, Juice WRLD would have still got hooked. It's on the listeners. It's on the audience, because the audience creates the market. Right? If the audience wasn't feeding into this shit as much as they are, we wouldn't have these fucking problems. Like, music could be as toxic as it want to be, right? But as long as people got the fucking mental fortitude to be able to realize what's real and what's not, and not be as impressionable and weak-minded as motherfuckers are today, we wouldn't have these fucking problems, right? And where does that start, or what's gonna put you in the best position to be successful in these types of situations? It's on the village raising you. It's on your moms, your pops, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, your uncles, your coaches, your schools, all that, and what they allow you to do. And it's a war right now. It's a cultural war because of everything stacked up against everybody. Social media, really social media, music, right? It's a fucking war, but it starts at home.
Out that, because this happens in society everywhere. There are people that are selling cancer to you. There's people that are like tobacco industry.
Well, I wouldn't say it's hypocritical. I would just say it's hyperfocused.
But there's a lot that don't. McDonald's like are killing people every day, and it's like nobody's calling this shit out.
I know, but that's like that tweet where it's like, if you say you don't like oranges, someone's like, what? So like pineapples just get off the. It's like
multiple things can be wrong.
We're talking about
McDonald's has received so much criticism, bro. There's been so many documentaries. Super Size Me is a documentary. Like, there's constant.
No, but we're talking
criticism.
We're talking about music, and
we're talking about artists that are putting out bad music, and it's up to the people at home who consume that music how they live their life listening to it. If you're raised right and you know we can all listen to a Future song and not be influenced by it.
Yeah.
You said, hey,
that's because we're grown now.
Yeah, but if your parents were a little bit closer to you, they wouldn't have let you have access to that.
No.
You might have wanted to try it.
No, let's pump the brakes, right? We were all 19 once, right?
Yeah.
At some point, you're outside of your parents' supervision. So at 19, when I'm like first dabbling into music, I'm drinking, I'm smoking weed, Future's going crazy, he's dropping Tony Montana. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. And especially in Atlanta, it was a different time. You know what I mean?
It was sitting next to two people that have never done drugs, didn't have sex before marriage.
But everyone's
not everybody's influenced by what they.
I agree, but to your point, not everyone is influenced by what they're, but some people are. So you can't just write
put it on the artist.
Also, Alex,
real quick. What I'm saying is you can't just say, well, these two people weren't influenced, so it's not at all on the artist.
Hold on.
Even though
One
someone like Juice WRLD literally told Future himself, I started doing lean because of you.
1 point. Let's say
we can't absolve that.
Russ continues to drive the point of rappers who are not living these lives, but putting that in their music, needing to be held accountable for how it influences their listeners. But like I said earlier, it doesn't matter if they're really living it or not living it. It's still gonna affect their listeners just the same. So what really needs to be addressed? How these children are listening to the music. Like, we can call these rappers demonic all goddamn day, but we can call them evil, we can call them the worst thing in the book, but that shit ain't gonna fucking stop. Kids are still gonna be getting hooked. Kids are still gonna be having premarital sex. The kids are still gonna be fucking promiscuous. Dudes still gonna be robbing. Dudes still gonna be killing. Bitches still gonna be fighting, regardless if who's influencing them really lives that life or not. So, like I said before, really what matters is the mind state of these kids listening to this music. Because this isn't a new phenomenon. Like, you go back to the fucking 60s, 70s, and 80s when rock was, you know, at its highest, and fucking kids in the heads up too, and influencing the actions kids took too, with drugs and sex and all this types of shit. It's on the audience. At the end of the day, what are we most worried about? How the music is going to be affecting the children, right? And we can't sit here and try to minimize the impact that even the artists that actually do the things that they're talking about. We can't minimize the impact that their music is having on the kids either. Just because it's real doesn't make it any better. The shit that even the real rappers are talking about in these songs is not just documenting their experiences, bro. They're out here living it, saying what they will do, what they're going to do, what they did, glorifying it, bro. You ain't got no bodies. How real are you? Man, you ain't real. You ain't fuck that bitch. But it's not just me giving my story. It's me knowing as an artist the implications of what my music is going to do to the listeners, regardless if I fucking live this life or not. And me continuing to put that fucking music out to capitalize off of it. It's still exploitation of the black community. It's still reinforcing the negative stereotypes that comes from black culture, regardless if this rapper is really living that life or not.
The absolute, yes. There's some.
It's not that black.
Yes,
Yeah.
Let's say that there's zero influence, right? Let's say it doesn't impact a single person. Like nobody does drugs because of it, nothing, right? Everything's the same, society doesn't change at all. You could still go, you are profiting off of a trauma that is not yours, that you are also reinforcing a negative stereotype, even if it doesn't turn into anything.
That's true too.
You still are profiting off a trauma. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
that's kind of where I was coming from at first, which is
if
it's not your real
selling your soul. One of the negative drawbacks of capitalism, because it brings about evil shit. That's valid. That's valid. But that pales in comparison to the actual impacts that real or fake artists have on their audience through the music. Period.
Like, you could argue that that's the culture vulture. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I agree. It's an icky way to make money, but there's a lot of people that make money.
I know, but
this is where you're missing the mark. Hold on, Russ. This is where you're missing the mark. Nobody ever says somebody who works for Philip Morris didn't sell his soul. You sell cigarettes. You made it a point to sell cigarettes to kids. You sold your fucking soul. Nobody, if you call a cigarette company, is gonna be like, bruh, what about drug dealers? Nah, motherfucker, it's you. You sold your soul. So I just don't like that whataboutism of, well, what about these other? We're not calling them out. Of course we call them out. We call them all the fucking time.
Everybody
if you're McDonald's and you decided we don't even
everybody
get
gets
chicken,
called out.
you sold your fucking soul. Ray Kroc sold his fucking soul.
Yes.
Y'all sold your soul. We call them all out.
I will agree. It's an icky way to make money, but at the same time, I think you have the liberty of being an artist where it's like, hey, you get to make whatever type of art you want to make. If it's not positive art, then don't consume it.
Or just admit you lying.
No. I
just
agree.
admit
you're playing a character.
Look.
Wrestlers don't have to.
I think to close it out. I think make what you want to make, but also don't absolve yourself of accountability when it comes down to if you're talking about something that's negative and pushing something that's negative that you didn't actually do or live, but you're doing it because that makes money, you sold your soul.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
We can agree.
And just own it.
Okay, but what if you're a rapper who actually lived that life, actually got those bodies, actually slid up on the ops, actually fucked these hoes, actually pimped these hoes, actually beat these hoes, actually sold these drugs, actually took these drugs, right? And you deliver your music in a way where you know it's going to negatively impact your listeners. What do you call that? I mean, somebody not living that life is much worse, but just because you live that life does not mean that the way you're delivering your music is good, right? Turn on NBA Youngboy right now. Is that him just telling his story? Come on now. Turn on Key Glock right now. Turn on Kodak right now. Is that them just telling their story? Nah, fam. They know how this is gonna make their fucking audience act, react, move, talk, all that, bro. They know that they're idols in this shit. They know the control they have over the fucking audience. What do you call that? Knowing that's gonna affect them negatively. What do you call that? There's levels, certainly, bro. But you got to call a spade a spade.
Yeah,
and just own it.
We can agree on that.
But this whole notion that nah, chill. People should be able to talk about what they talk. Oh yeah, you can. But guess what? You're also not exempt from. It's criticism for selling your soul.
The Juice WRLD thing completely flipped me. I only thought about violence.
That is
that's
not my opinion.
Yeah.
That is documented.
Yeah.
He told him that. And Nicki is in interviews saying, I think it was to Joe Budden, saying that Future told her that he doesn't do the drugs that he talks about. So it's that to me, like I said, I have a whole Future playlist.
That's hard.
Because I'm grown and I can use discernment, but it's when you see somebody like Juice WRLD, who their introduction to it was because you glorified it, I mean, that's gotta feel crazy.
But then it's also, hey, where's your parents, friends?
No, bro, because
where are the people around you?
No, come on, because then we're acting like then we're acting like no, that's not true.
Yes, like you can't put it
because then we're acting because then
only Future's fault. Like
because then we're acting like none of us were 19 before. Where even if you had good parents, you just didn't want to be 19 and wild out because that shit sounded cool.
There are 19-year-olds that didn't want to wild out.
I know, but then the ones who did,
they're the vast minority, though.
No, but minority.
You could argue the foundation is set by the parents.
Listen, minority and majority is irrelevant. The fact that there are 19-year-olds who chose to wild out because they heard he was wilding out, even though he wasn't wilding out, cannot just be ignored for the sake of an argument. That still has to be like, yo, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
We're not saying that's the whole blame.
At the same time, the listeners have to have accountability too. No one is in control of your actions. No one's in control of your actions, right? You may be impressionable at a younger age. You may be more likely to do dumb shit at a younger age, but that's literally on the family to prepare you for that at those given times, bro. So like, you want to place accountability for the fake rappers, do it, but you still got to put accountability on the listeners too. You're weak-minded. Your parents didn't raise you right. They didn't do a good job. Right? Football coach didn't get in your ass enough. Mama didn't get in your ass enough if you got hooked on drugs by the music you was listening to. No one put a gun to your head. Two things can be true at once. The music is fucked up. Motherfuckers are fucked up for promoting an agenda they don't even partake in. But at the same time, the listeners are accountable too.